And we are very delighted to have the opportunity to host Professor Florence Bergeaud-Blackler. It's difficult with French names. And to discuss the Muslim Brotherhood in France, but not only in France, because this is a problem that we all tackle everywhere. So we learn from the French case to see what needs to be done in other areas as well. Great pleasure for us to host you. And we're looking forward, and about 100 and something people watching on Zoom. So take this into account as well. Thank you very much. And I will ask Dr. Emmanuel Navon made this happen to present you and say some opening remarks. Please, Emmanuel.
Thank you, Yossi. Welcome to all. And we are indeed very delighted to host today Dr. Florence Bergeaud-Blackler. She is, I think, today the leading expert in France on the Muslim Brothers. She is a senior researcher at the CNRS, which is France's leading research institute. And we are even more delighted because, you know, today in Europe, when you write about those topics and when you have such a big followership as she does on the social media, obviously you are immediately threatened, and she has to walk around Europe with bodyguards. So here in Israel, you don't need your bodyguards because, you know, you're allowed to talk about the Muslim Brothers here in Israel. Her previous books on the Muslim Brotherhood was a real bestseller, and translated in many languages. Her latest book, published in French with Odile Jacob, is called Jihad by the Market, the Jihad par le Marché, which shows how the Muslim Brothers use the force of the market in order to promote their agenda and their ideology. So this is the last. Dr. Bergeaud-Blackler was here in Israel for about a week. She's given many lectures in universities and elsewhere, and we're very delighted to have her today. It's her last lecture before flying back to France. Right after this presentation, she's going to the airport. So we're very glad that you made it, that you came to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv for your last presentation at JISS. And I think that the fact that we have over 100 people who signed up to this webinar goes to show the interest in you, in your presentation. So we're very glad, we're really thankful that you came, and thank you for coming, and we're very much looking forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your invitation. Thank you to be here and numerous. I'm honored to be able to present this work, even if it's not in my language, French, and therefore my English will be limited, so I apologize. So as you know, in Europe, not just in France, anti-Semitism is rising, and this is a big concern. I think there is a great attention to this problem, but the problem is that we try to fight anti-Semitism while forgetting the causes of anti-Semitism. So we will fight anti-Semitism only if we identify closely the causes. And among these causes is the Muslim Brotherhood and its ideology that I call brotherism. So why I decided to coin this term of brotherism, it's because I noticed that we are chasing after the brotherhood, people who are inside, but we don't we don't have attention enough to the ideology that it displays and all around the world. So just to tell a bit about me, so I have been working on Islamic normativities for 30 years now. And the first time I entered a mosque as an anthropology student, it was an Islamic center run by the Muslim Brotherhood. It was in Bordeaux. Of course, I didn't know because they never mentioned their secret affiliation. But the Muslim sisters that I followed taught me a lot while trying to make me, the student I was, one of them. I must say that this environment immediately interested and fascinated me. There was an atmosphere of devout, even fanatical piety that contrasted with everything I had been taught at university. And for years, I tried to unravel the mystery of this rather elusive brotherhood. So, to understand the lasting influence of the Muslim Brotherhood in Europe and in the world, to understand their territorial implementation strategy, their methods of action, we must first understand the ideology that inhabits them and that I call brotherism. So, first of all, we have to understand that structures change, and especially for this secret brotherhood, who is chased around the world. Structures change, but the ideology endures. Maybe we can go to the. Yeah. Brotherist ideology and can spread independently of the organizational forms it takes. The reason is simple. Brotherism is based on a textual unity, on the unity of a nation, the Ummah, which is designed to resist changes in time and space. The next slide. So let me explain the way I see this ideology. For me, brotherism is a form of Salafism. I do not distinguish brotherism and Salafism. Brotherism is part of the Salafiyah. For the Salafiyah, we know that the Quran is a primary source of law. It is an infallible and incorruptible revealed text. It is a sacred text. So it's very limited in terms of interpretation. It is complemented by a second source of law, the Sunnah, or tradition of the Prophet, which is the collection of hadith, gestures, and words of the Prophet, authenticated by a chain of transmission. Again, the aim is to conserve the tradition as it is. For Salafiyah, the Prophet is the embodied model for all believers worldwide, regardless of era, of time, form, and this form, the Ummah. Second, brotherism is a particular type of Salafism. It is a reformist Salafism. For them, Islam descended to comprehensively reform all society. But this adaptation occurs in a sense of adapting the world to Islam and not adapting Islam to the world. The next step. So Islam is seen as an integral religious system. I really insist on the system because everything is coordinated and solidar that governs the ibadat, so the acts of worship. This is the vertical dimension, the 5 pillars, prayers, fasting, and so on. And the muamalat, which is the rules for organizing social, economic, political, legal relations. Islam is an integral system. All rules apply. They are interdependent in the perfect Islamic society. But of course, brotherhood is pragmatic and opportunistic. So to achieve this perfection is not easy and demands some flexibility in applying the rules needed. So the brother know how to suspend practice if the goal sought has more value than the fact to not apply practice. For example, a woman who wants a big position in a big enterprise will not be obliged to wear the veil because, at least temporarily, because if it's to obtain a job that will facilitate the community's progress toward its mission, she cannot wear the veil, but it is of course a way of, because the aim, is more important than the practice itself. That is a big difference with the purist Salafi, we will not admit any change in practice. Brotherhood propose to European Muslims today a world vision. It's what I call VIP, a world vision, supremacist identity, VIP, and a plan for accomplishing it, the caliphate. Most of the work done on Muslim Brotherhood in Europe or in Western societies deny this aim, which is the caliphate. Well, I mean, not Raqqa, of course, but the modern, powerful Islamic society. So my book, when it was issued in 2023, proposed that we consider this a permanent aim. And it's not just a matter of identity, it's not just a matter of politics, it's a political religious project. So what do European Muslims read to learn their religions? We should really look at that, because if the Brotherhood ideology is the framework, what they give to read to the Muslim children is this type of Salafi literature, which is extremely conservative, sometimes violent physically or psychologically. So, and this set of books is translated in many European and worldwide languages. And of course, so for example, you have some example, Garden of the Right House, Fortress of the Muslim, The Lawful and the Prohibited in Islam by Youssef el-Qaradawi, which is very known, etc., etc. So these books are the same and translated all over the world. And of course, the worldwide distribution of these works contributes to creating a homogenization of religious practices, a common habitus, and this will facilitate the circulation of arguments, discourse, and collective action. So even if you remove the head of NGOs and association by the Muslim Brotherhood, the text is there. And so it will coordinate the action all over the world. Salafism relies on the Prophet's example as the perfect model for imitation. That means that even if you don't read the Quran and tradition in text, you have this book, we will tell you how to behave as according to the model of the Prophet and his wives. So you don't need to have a very big knowledge of Islamic tradition and all the debates. You just have the Prophet to imitate, whether you are European, American, Australian, Japanese, and so on. So the Prophet is the embodied and unsurpassable example. Uswa Hasana is a living norm, and no living character can rival him. The figure of the Prophet is very important, is sacralized, to the point that if you contest the Prophet, like in cartoons, the Charlie cartoons, then it's normal that it's admitted in Muslim population that you risk the capital crime and the capital punishment, so you risk to be dead. It's quite well admitted. Authority does not rest on the personal charisma of current leaders or living leaders, but on their ability to present themselves as faithful to the prophetic model. The leader is the prophet. Everything that questions his existence of charisma is sacrilegious and inadmissible. The next one. So there are many Islamist groups, but the main thinkers are Muslim Brotherhood, are inspired by the Brotherhood. So you see, you know that. So I will not stay too much on this slide. But of course, Hassan al-Banna was born in 1906. He created the Brotherhood in 1928. He was a young man. The idea was to lead a global Islamic movement from Egypt and elsewhere. They rely on few founding texts which define framework principles, a civilizing mission through dawah and jihad. The gradualism in action, passions, is very important for them, and an absolute obedience to the Brotherhood. The Muslim Brothers receive ideological, spiritual, moral, and physical training. It's what we see in Europe. Both are linked, the mind and the body. You have a lot of sports, combat sports, which are now managed by Islamists and Muslim Brothers to train the future army of the jihadists when the European society will be ready to fall. So for now, they use subversive means, pacific means, psychological pressure, but then there will be a time of crisis where they will need force, and then the jihadists will be ready by training, by sport.
Men and women, only men.
Men and women. Men and women.
This is sport, or you mean martial arts?
Sport, for example, judo,
Yeah,
MMA.
MMA, and so on. So, brotherist knowledge is not only theoretical, it is embodied in militant routines, meetings, charitable actions, activities, association, sport, and so on. So you understand that this practical ideological transmission allows the movement to survive the disappearance of its visible leader. And it's also the strength of the Muslim Brotherhood. The heads are completely hidden because it's a secret, but they are still acting through the text and the model of the prophets. So what I tried to explain the Islamization by Muslim Brothers in using this idea that they want to make the society Sharia compatible. First of all, Sharia compatible until the society give itself to the Sharia. So make Sharia compatible means that you will not impose Sharia, but you will change the rules, the culture, the habits in a sense that they are compatible with the Sharia. And then people don't know, but they are acting in a way of the Sharia without knowing this is the Sharia. This is the way they think. So, yeah, please. Again. Yes. So just before I said that I forget something. I mean, the Brotherhood is not for me a movement amongst several schools of Islam. It is the system of action, which wants to take all this movement in Islam and gather them towards the aim, which is the caliphate. So it's not, they are pragmatic, opportunistic, they are theocrats, but not theologians. The subversion is the way they are acting. They are influenced by left organization and the Trotskyists, for example, very much influenced by the Trotskyist methods. So you know for probably what Bezmenov, he was a KGB officer and quit and was refugees in the US. And he explains the 4 stages of subversion by the URSS and USSR. Sorry. So there is 4 stages. The first is demoralization of the society. It takes 1 generation, about 20 years. Then you enter in a phase of destabilization. Then you provocate, and it's very quick. It's 5-6 years. And then you provocate a crisis. And then after the crisis, a revolution or crisis of the institution then you will normalize with a new set of rules. And so there is we could be in Europe at the phase of the destabilization now. So the subversion is a means. There is an intellectual means, is the Islamization of knowledge, what we see in the university all around the world in a campus, I think is the result of an Islamization of knowledge which started in the 1980s, which was terrorized by the Muslim Brotherhood. So it's not me that coins these terms of Islamization of knowledge. It's really the Muslim Brotherhood who decide they decide that they will conserve the knowledge of the Western societies, the technology and the advantages, but to put it in a frame of Islam. And the idea is to make sure that all the faculties in a university enter in this framework. This is Islamization of knowledge. So what the fact that people like me in social sciences are under protection and under threat and therefore under protection, it's because we are maybe 4 or 5 in all France. We are very few because we are systematically accused and excluded from the university. I can give this conference everywhere in France except at the university. So when you see, for example, there was a conference in Collège de France recently with really, I mean, the more militant researcher for Palestine and for Hamas really objectively supportive of Hamas. They were doing a conference in Collège de France, Paris, and so it was cancelled, and rightly. It has to be cancelled because this is not science. And now you have a huge amount of people writing, comment on appelle ça, des pétitions, but really like 1,000 people, I mean, research, very high level professor. They all sign. They don't know what they are signing, but it's signed because it's censorship. If it's censorship, but they have no idea what this researcher are doing, what they are demonstrating. And I know them because I worked for at least 20 years in this CNRS labs, and this is completely anti-Zionist, anti-Semitic. There is no, they even don't hide anymore. This is not science at all. And the third is Islamic way of life. It's the purpose of my latest book on halal market, which this is the cultural, economical transformation of the market societies, the consumer societies. So this Islamization through the market, through our consumer habits.
So the point is to insert more and more halal into.
Yes, exactly. Not as a supplement, but as a replacement. So, for example, Five Guys will become halal, so you will remove the alcohol. You will make sure that the pork is separately prepared. So, what is the norm becomes the exception around the Sharia way of life.
Five Guys is already halal.
So it's going to be halal. Now it's 6 or 7 shops in Marseille, in Paris, and Lille, I think, and then it will become halal like Quick did, and so we think that fast food, generally speaking, will become called halal. It doesn't mean for people it's presented as a diversity, so we will add an option, but it's not true. We will remove options and impose the halal.
Is a very patriotic country by culture, capitulating so easily.
Because I think because there is no willingness to know, there is of course clientelism, political clientelism, and there was pressure from Qatar and Turkey. There's many explanations for not looking at carefully at this ideology. There was a report on Muslim Brothers in France, which was issued in May this year. But when you read it, it's interesting. It's some of the figure of the secret services. So it's very interesting. We don't know anything about the methodology. and the conclusion and the preconization are completely different from what has been demonstrated and shown. So there's no real willingness to solve this problem at the political level. But they are still obliged to talk about this topic because French, because of the laïcité, because of they like the democracy, and also because of the influence of Islamists all over the country. They want explanation, they want to know. So politics are obliged to talk about it, but they don't want to solve.
The real figures of people of Muslim in front of me. Because
Okay, so for example, Muslim Brothers, it's estimates between 400 and 1,000 people, just members. But it's members who have sworn and were completely hidden, who are the key of the movement. But around them, there is what I call the brotherists. This is why I invent these terms of brotherists. The brotherists who are carry on this ideology and they are acting in this in the second circle. I will go to this now. So it's after. So you see here you can see the Muslim Brothers. It's one of the rare picture we have. Okay, so that's the Brotherhood structure. I will go a bit further, then we will be able to talk. So this is a Brotherhood network all around the world. So you have two faces. You have a completely hidden faces. So only the Secret Service have access to this invisible part, which is called International Organization of the Muslim Brotherhood. So this international organization, it's written in a report. I don't. It's have branches worldwide: Middle East, North Africa, Europe, Asia, of course, in America. And it's led by two factions. One is in London, and there is two other factions. They are competitive a bit in Istanbul. And you also have a visible face, the Transnational Network of Brotherism, which is the second circle for me of brotherists. They are not members of the Brotherhood, but they are brotherists. They are carrying the ideology, and then we will.
the British chapter, it was kicked out. Did they come back? There was a period that they moved to Vienna and then to Australia.
Yeah, this is the invisible part, which yeah, exactly. And I don't have access to this one. I have access to the visible part, which is also very interesting to study because they are acting straightly to the population. So you have the Council of European Muslims, for example, with the ulema, the religious part. You see at the right, and I don't remember how it's called. So it's rare to see the Muslim brother because this guy, I don't remember his name, but he is part of the Muslim Brotherhood. But he also can act as visibly at the head of Council of European Muslims. But usually, when you see them, they are not part of the Muslim Brotherhood because to protect the system. For example, Yusuf al-Qaradawi was a Muslim brother, but he left. And then he was very visible, as you know, in Al Jazeera, all over the world. Tariq Ramadan also was very visible. He was not part, but actually they are just they have their role in the Brotherhood, but it's a visible role, so they will not be part. So this is a branch of European of the visible network, and inside, okay, and this branch is made. Sorry, just finish with this. So this is a. Yes, maybe. Okay. So the NGOs. So there you see the European Muslim Council, which before was called the Federation of Muslim Brothers, FIOE, Fédération Internationale des Organisations Islamiques, European Federation of Islamic Organization. So we took another name, Council of European Muslim, and so you see this branch in each country, in each European nation. You have one branch, and behind each square, you have several NGOs who are all over the territory. So it's a huge network in a continent like Europe. Okay, so for me, this is organization of the network. So what we saw is the central circle in blue. It's the hidden part. Then you have the second circle. It's the part we saw just before, with all the Islamic organization led by the Muslim Brothers or influenced by directly by the Muslim Brothers. And you have a third, and in this second circle, you have the Muslim of France and the student Muslim of France and the women Muslims of France at the national level. And then at the regional level, you also have other representative of the second circle. And then you have a third circle, third circle, which is made of local organization who have no conscious of belonging to the Muslim Brotherhood, because this is a local organization without awareness of belonging. They form a local ecosystem around territories, cultural associations, homework help, sports, travel NGOs, travel enterprise, employment assistance, dating sites, beauty salons, and everything that you will find locally, which are not displaying their Islamic belonging, but which is part of the Brotherhood. So because of this arrangement, even if you have 1,000 Muslim Brotherhood member, you have a disproportionate influence in all the territory. And then when it works, for example, in France, one of the oldest countries with this arrangement, then it will transfer to Italy, then it will transfer to Spain. And so the same model will transfer in another part of the world. For example, in Montreal, where I've been recently, they are arriving in a population who is really naive, and they are now very well equipped to install according to these models in Canada. This is why they are very efficient. So how do we measure the impact in France? When we see the poll, for example, 58% of the young Muslim between 18 and 25, 58% think that Sharia law is preferable to Republic law. So this is the result of 40 years of Islamization by the Muslim Brotherhood, and it's light on a culture of secrecy, which is very normal in Maghrebian and Maghrebian cultures in particular. So that they were ready for being taught and re-Islamized by the Muslim Brotherhood. I will stop here, then maybe it's interesting to have a question.
I have a question. I have many questions, but I'll start with one. What is the attitude of the state to this situation? And does the French authorities, are they worried? Do they cooperate with the Muslim Brotherhood organizations, or do they try to limit their ability to
Well, first of all, Muslim Brotherhood and Brotherists are very clever. They never admit their belonging to this project, because it's not just an institution, it's a project of caliphate, of Islamic society. They are very clever. They are using influence within the law. They never, as much as possible, overcome the law. They stay as a legalist Islamic. And they approach the politicians by saying, we are going to calm the problem in society. we will do the intermediate between the politics and the population, Muslim populations, and calm them down when there is unrest. So they are useful. They are useful to order the area in France which are not under control. They always present themselves as councillors, as moderate, and so on. So, indeed, the politics are deceptive. Deceptive.
There is also the influence of Qatar.
There are also the money from Qatar, from Turkey, and from the EU. EU gives a lot in the fight against discrimination, racism, and so on. So they have millions of euros coming from the EU and then coming from the region.
Yeah, but the Qatar influence on the government, financing the debt.
Okay, that's more corruption. That's more individual corruption. That I would say for the Qatar. So they will give money to this mayor or this minister. But for me, it's more like corruption. I mean, in terms of
they finance more and more the debt of France. They gave 10 billion.
Yeah, the invest and also the investment part.
Yeah. When the government needs a lot of funds, and they go to Qatar for the security of the Olympic Games or for investing in the economy, they inject tens of millions of dollars in the French economy via the president of the world.
So it's a way of buying the silence of politics.
If I may also, Florence, it would be to answer also your question. There was a report a few months ago published in France.
Yes, I told them.
Right, about the Muslim Brotherhood, and one of the recommendations at the end was to calm down the Muslim Brotherhood and the militant Muslims in France. One way of doing it was to recognize a Palestinian state. Interesting.
Yeah, and widespread the learning of Arabic. No sense. I want to sorry.
Just to finish, I'll let everybody ask questions. Just to finish the question. Do they regard these structures of the Muslim Brotherhood as the most important representatives of Muslims in France? Or
they are not known as such. They present themselves as Muslim, good Muslim, conservative Muslim, but they will never say they are the Brotherhood.
Government works with them. If the government wants to calm down the Muslims, they'll go to these people.
Yes.
Here's the problem.
Yes.
They appear as civil society.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They appear as civil society.
Yes. They say they represent the Islam in France and they are most knowledgeable and so on.
Could I just
Fine. Just let's try to have some order here. So fine, yes, go.
One is, what is the lingua franca of the organization? Speak Arabic.
I think
what do they speak? The second question, do we have a sociological picture of leadership? How many are immigrants? How many are European born?
Okay, so the first generation, I think they speak in Arabic between them. It's the one who built this network initially. And the second circle you have seen, it's more the second generations, and they speak English between the continents. They are much more active in the Western societies than anywhere in the world. They have ID, they have the capacity of free expression, free meeting, so they have all the assets. And they also have connection with the Pakistanis who don't speak Arabic. So the lingua franca is more English. Sorry.
Is this a stimulating factor, the fact that speak?
Yeah, but in the sense of assimilating the society to Islam. You know, they reverse the process.
Yeah.
You said we're in a destabilization phase.
We could be, I mean.
Which would mean the next stage would be crisis.
Mhm.
When do you expect us to reach that stage, and how would it play out?
Well, things are going very bad, as you probably noticed, and especially since the 7th of October. So it could be a matter of 5 years until there is unrest, a real unrest because people feel not protected by the state. They feel that they are useless, they are powerless more and more, and some people will not admit that and will fight. We can see now sign of fighting from the right. So some people call that extreme right. I'm not sure it's that extreme. It's the right who want to re-become France. So it's not just the Muslim Brotherhood as such, but they also promote ideology like decolonialism, like the radical left and the wokeism, and this exhausts the people who feel that they are not protected against this ideology.
Yes, you get to everyone. Don't worry.
Two direct questions. One, there's a vigorous debate in many European capitals on whether it is freedom of religion or political. So whether Islam is political or religion. Where do you see France play a role in that?
In what sense? I'm not sure I understand your question.
There's freedom of religion.
Of religions, yes.
Which is within the Constitution.
Yes.
Versus a political movement, which Islam in particular, Muslim Brotherhood, falls under. But nonetheless, there is a discussion. I know in Germany, from the Netherlands, and other locations as well. Is France also part of that discussion?
Well, we have the laïcité, first of all. So freedom of religion is not first. There is Republican laïc, which is really first at the moment. But this is just elite and intellectual discussions. There's no practical consequence from this perspective. So it's a matter of debate, but not. It doesn't lead to any decisions, and doesn't lead to any wish to understand how this movement works. We are, as I said, very few academics. We are all threatened. We have no money at all, coming from absolutely no chance. So of course we go backward more and more each year.
And to draw also from what Florence was asking about the international network, to what degree are Qatar and Turkey, since there was the whole story about the mosques also in France, particularly.
Yes.
Does that still play a role in the discourse between the bilateral relations these days?
Well, this is not the way I mean, yes, probably. I mean, money through the mosque, probably. But there is social networks which are really powerful now, and there is this ideology which they are hiding behind, like the connection with LFI, La France Insoumise, with the radical left, or in Belgium, it's another party, it's Parti Socialiste or Écolo. They are hiding behind. They are doing what I call the cuckoo nest. They put their eggs in their this party, so they don't appear as an Islamist party, but they are putting their eggs, and these eggs are now going to life, as we have seen in La France Insoumise. But I witnessed at the National Assembly, Assemblée Nationale in Parliament in France, and since I witnessed under sermon, I am absolutely harassed all the time, and there's no protection against that. It's the way they disqualify any criticism to the Islamism in France and in Europe.
Ce qui est important aussi à rajouter, c'est que ils sont dans les partis de gauche, mais ça ne les empêche pas d'être aussi dans les partis de droite,
Yes,
ou même dans les extrêmes.
They will put their eggs in left, but if any opportunity, they will go at right. There's no choice.
Maybe you could say a word also of the influence at the EU level, because it influences a lot the laws, and we are in France today. 80% of the laws are dependent on the
It is true. Yeah.
They invest a lot on the EU. There was a Qatar gate in EU. So they have a lot of influence on the Commission.
Yes, and yeah, we should work on this, on identifying this influencer. For now, as I know, there's absolutely no work to identify this influencer at the EU level, and there are numerous.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, to your estimation, how many Muslims are now in France?
8 million.
8 million. Now, you mentioned that most of the Muslim Brotherhood movement on the Frelist are connected to LFI or the extreme left or left parties. We can assume maybe in 2 years there will be a change in France, maybe. Maybe. In the case that Le Pen party or something close to it is getting the power in the French presidency election.
Yeah.
Do you believe that this movement will move in order to survive to the extreme left, to the right, and the right will have the obligation of almost to accept because they need these voters?
Yeah, I would say that they are already moving. They are already moving quietly, but they are now approaching the Rassemblement National. And I feel that the Rassemblement National is not as strong against the Islamism as it was before. It means that there is already an entrism towards the right parties. But for now, it's they are betting in the left because the left is promoting the Islamophobia theory, which is, of course, a theory made to help Islamism to get power. But opportunistically, they will move anyway to the side of the power.
So France is lost.
Well, if there is no any help, not just France, because I've been to Germany, I've been to Austria, I've been to Sweden. It's the same problem in the UK. It's the same problem all over. So I think we are lost if we are not helping each other. We absolutely need to work together.
Yes, please. Just 1 second.
One question.
John, 1 second.
My name is Larry. I'm new here. You mentioned Trotskyism, Trotsky's methods, and I found that very interesting. My question is this: if we were sitting here 50 years ago, 1975, and we were talking about communist infiltration of the West, we could have this exact conversation, just switch out Muslim Brotherhood and the Communist Party, one of its greatest. And it would have looked in 1975 like France is lost and the West is lost, and there's nothing stopping this avalanche. And 15 years later, it just up and disappeared. Do you see a future in which this happens to the Brotherhood, or is everything really lost?
It really depends on the way we are going to understand this movement. It's not just a political movement; it is a religious and political movement, and extremely violent, and which is
so is communism.
Well, in a communist countries,
1975 was
in a communist countries, but not as much as in Western countries. Now the teachers in France are not able to teach everything they want because they are fear that they will be beheaded. So I don't remember that the communists did that. They were killing some very high profile, targeting the Islamists is killing everybody, and you don't know when and where. And they are preparing. We see people preparing, as I said, in sports, in combat, fighting. We see from the influence forte, the influence and harassment in the cities. People are fed up and they feel not protected. We haven't seen that with communists at all.
And at the time of communism, there was not the social network and AI. Today, they invest a lot. They invest a lot. They are specialists of it, and they started to lobby the GAFA, the Google and Amazon.
Fadilas, tu as des choses à rajouter?
Today, there was a study, ChatGPT is taking most of its information on the Middle East from Al Jazeera.
Of course it does.
Okay, yes.
Thank you.
Moshe,
Could you talk about the other side of the picture, which is Muslim Brotherhood support for terrorism, support for Hamas, support promoting Jew hatred around the world. And it's, I mean, that's the reality that you haven't talked about. And,
because this is very well documented, and this link
I
between
can't hear you.
this is very well documented.
Yes.
This link between Muslim Brotherhood networks and Hamas, and so there is many works about that. The works which is not done, it's this one, the subversive, the influence, the legalistic Islamism, which I think is the more dangerous because it's very quiet, is changing the society bit by bit, and we cannot address straightly this problem as long as we don't know what they want. We are obliged to understand that they want to change the society, they want to change a democracy to a theocracy, and this is subversive, and this should be stopped. But we are not to this point where we are aware of this danger, and this is a problem because they are very quiet. They have time. They always say that it will take 100 years, but they will succeed. It's the way the way they think. We have to understand the way they think and what they want, and we are not there at all.
I just like to ask you about the demographic dimension, because
Yes.
when push comes to shove, it's going to be youth on one side and youth on the other. And you keep on looking, when you look at France, pictures out of France, it's very clear that the Western France, Christian France, is all old, and the people in the streets and the people in the marketplace and in the streets, the Muslims are young. Do they, what role does demography play in achieving the caliphate in Europe? And how successful are they in creating high fertility among second generation Muslims? I mean, from the bit of data that I see, they're not very successful. But do they include this in the
Yeah, in terms of birth rates, it's coming to the European rates. Yeah, there is convergence, but they are still doing more children. And because of their ideology and the fact that our women are meant to stay at home or work from home, because they have also to be educated. Yes, of course, we will have increasing of democracy in this particular population, and also immigration. Immigration carries on at a very high level, which is also a big problem in France. And again, there's no consciousness, awareness of this problem, even if the right wing. I think it's 700,000.
How much do they articulate? How much do they discuss it?
The right wing.
In their rhetoric.
Oh, but this is a central part of the political debate at the moment, is the immigration problem. But then if you say there's a problem of immigration, you are far right, you are Nazi, you are everything. So it's very difficult for researchers, for intellectuals to talk about this because they are diabolisés.
They delegitimize the very discussion.
And guilty.
There's people to ask questions here.
So let's maybe, there's another couple of questions here.
On a toujours un train en retard. Il suffit de voir depuis le 7 octobre au niveau européen. On a essayé d'attirer l'attention sur des groupes comme le Congrès juif européen, etc., en leur disant passez le film du 7 octobre, passez-le. Ça a pris 3 mois et au bout de 3 mois, il n'y a rien qui s'est produit. Mais au bout de 3 mois, par contre, ce qui s'est produit, c'est que nous avions Émeric Caron qui a présenté son film. Et donc, les institutions européennes, en fait, ils n'ont toujours qu'une vision des choses parce que nous sommes toujours à la traîne.
So she's saying that just showing, for example, the footing, the movies of the October 7 through that Europe was almost impossible. And finally, after many months, we were able to screen it. You had far left politicians, especially in France, that, screen movies of destruction in Gaza, to create moral equivalence.
Et donc, en fait, nous avons des spécialistes comme Florence ou comme d'autres qui comprennent cette idéologie-là, qui peuvent vraiment en même temps évoluer et connaître leur stratégie et donner leur point de vue pour qu'on puisse les contrer, sauf que ces personnes-là ne sont pas écoutées. Et donc, on est toujours à la traîne et eux sont toujours en avance. Et on voit, c'est pour ça qu'ils évoluent très, très rapidement, parce qu'ils sont bien organisés et qu'ils ont plus de place et qu'ils peuvent influencer dans toutes ces instances-là.
They know how to influence because they're very organized. So when people like Florence try to disclose their strategy, they're already a step ahead because they have the contacts and the narrative. So it's very hard to catch up because they're very influential.
So there is a discrepancy between the people and the elites, and especially in France, the elites are the media are very leftist and so on.
It's everywhere.
But the people who you can see in the polls, they cannot stand
Yes,
this
they
lack of
Brotherhood, yes.
this lack of reaction from the elites, and that's why the extreme right is rising.
Go ahead.
Yes, so two questions if I may. One, if I'm trying to think what is illegal in their activities, so two suggestions. Do they have, you didn't talk about their connections to organized crime, if they have, and another is some of their statements should be illegal on the grounds of sedition, subversive, trying to overthrow the republic. So, the question is, why isn't any of this illegal? So that's one question. And the other question is, as far as interfaith activities, I understand most of it is just another way to get Europe to submit to Islam. But do you see any actual activities from religious leaders that are more confrontational and more in the right direction?
Yeah. So in France, you have two trends. You have Muslim Brothers, very, very nice, very smiley, helping politics and to make the order to the society. And you also have the Salafi Jihadi. And so the Salafi Jihadi is organizing the terror. There is a good sharing of responsibility and tasks. So the Salafi are very brutal, they are not very numerous, fortunately. And you have the brother who will react as a counselor to help people to gain order. So
good cop, bad cop. So.
Exactly. So they are doing that. Also, when you want to, and Fadila was saying that, when you want to expose their strategy, you are targeted immediately. If I do this, I'm targeted in social network, in the news, at the university. There will be meeting against me. It's incredible the strength they have and the coordination they have. And I'm on my own. I'm sometimes just alone against that. So I think the response is very clear. We have to be together. We have to react. We have to expose. We have to.
But isn't any of their activity illegal? Sedition or?
No, we have to give up. I think this is a bad strategy to find illegal. For example, Tariq Ramadan was arrested because of rape and things like this, but not because of this idea. And the thing is now he has decided to explain that it's conspiracy theory and is coming back. So to try to arrest them through other means because they are doing things bad or illegal doesn't help. We have to face this ideology and to expose it and say we don't want that because we are democracy. So we need to give people, citizens, intellectual and moral weapons. Like in a war, when you have a war, you give the weapons to the population. In this stage where we have to give intellectual weapons to the population.
It's like Abdullah was arrested because he didn't pay taxes.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Don't the discourse can be criminalized to say that this is a revolutionary activity and we won't tolerate it?
No Western country has ever indicted anyone for like 50 years.
Not yet, and also because it's like on the Quran and the Sunnah, and you cannot arrest the Quran and the Sunnah.
But you have Arab countries like Jordan or Egypt who put Muslim Brotherhood outlaw. So how come
but
it can be done?
There's no effect.
It's not done
Because they're not democratic.
in a democratic
Yeah.
country. Oh.
No, we will not. I mean,
they're not
it would be a huge mistake to do that. If we outlaw the Muslim Brotherhood, it will be useless because nobody is Muslim Brotherhood. In Egypt or maybe in Jordan, when they find a Muslim brother, they will use means to make him talking and say, okay, I'm a Muslim brother. We will not do that in democracy, so we don't have the same weapon. So we will not convict people that is or not. So, and the other risk is that people like me, we will be able to identify brotherists, or we will be immediately courted and harassed, and it can end very bad for me. I can be in jail because I have accused these people to be Muslim Brotherhood, so I will be sued, and we don't know where it goes. They are very strong now, so I think it would be counterproductive. I don't know if I have been clear.
They banned many organizations from the Muslim Brotherhood, but then they build the same organization elsewhere in Belgium, for instance. And apart from that, they have NGOs that officially have nothing to do with Islam and so on, maybe with the Palestinian or maybe even with sport. There are so many NGOs, and this is through them that they are.
Yes. I think we should be also very discreet, because when we talk about that, I don't know where it goes, but they are acting secretly. It's very efficient, and we are very talkative. We say everything. So is it?
Do they have any presence within the French security forces?
Sorry?
Do they have any presence within the French?
I think they are present in all ministries. They are especially in justice, in prison. They are very. They are even in medicine. The lawyers, they have organization to lobby, but everywhere. And also, if you think about the infrastructure, the airports, the stations, the train, the metro, they will have power on it. I mean, mainly they are Muslims.
Police force.
Police forces, they are there as well. I can see it.
Yes.
Are you invited for talk?
Yes.
What happens in such a talk?
They think it's very interesting.
Yeah. So I tried to organize a couple of years ago in Western Europe, western part of Europe, a conference, a small conference on foreign influence, Islamic foreign influence, and the title was Subversion. And European experts were telling me change the title because people would be afraid to come.
Fantastic.
Yes. So it was very hard to find even a handful of people that are researching and I'm not. The conversation often in politics is very extreme. It's very stupid, right? I mean, like let's talk about Islam generally and immigration generally, and not talk about the political elements of the Muslim Brotherhood that you're referring to. So my question is this: if we want to talk about subversion and we want to create cooperation, can you name actors? How many people do you have? NGOs in France that you cooperate with?
Yeah,
is there
I think we're already now. Maybe 5 years ago it would not have been possible. I think we are ready now. But of course we should link discreetly. But we have to do something. But we can organize that and research.
You have NGOs in France that you think are talking?
Yes, not many, but there are.
Yeah. Okay, that you cooperate with.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll talk it.
Alex,
please. Just three little queries. If you could elaborate more, 3 moments. First, could you elaborate more on that was evoked, the penetration and infiltration into the French administrative systems or structures like penitentiary system, or for example, I read in the Le Point that the ecologist movement is manipulated by Islamists.
Also,
like sport associations, okay, it's Qatar and so on. Second thing, is something known about ethnic differences on the level of rank and files of the Muslim Brotherhood? Because it is very important. It's true, it's the same ideology everywhere. Still, practically, Pakistanis never go to pray at the Arab mosque and vice versa. It's everywhere. because it may be their weak point. However, again, you don't know enough, but it's more laissez-faire of European elites than their Bolshevik wisdom. And the third, is it true that in many cases there is another crucial dimension, namely that the French politicians simply on the municipal level simply need them, because if I am a prefet and I have riots, I need to contact these guys to calm the situation, because it is indeed very dangerous, because you cannot do anything else. It's not only their venality of of politicians.
Okay. So how they enter political movements, ministries, they are using Trotskyism. They have time. They are not going to do the revolution now. So they go through the normal way. They pass concours, and they are inside, and they wait until the order arrive. The ethnic differences in France, it's quite homogeneous. I would say also in Britain you have the Pakistanis and the Arabics, but even if they don't go to the mosque together, maybe they're not married together, but they are sharing the same ideology. So they will help each other against the mécréants, the kuffar. So when they are together, they will fight. But for now, they have a common enemy. So it doesn't matter if they are different. They are not meeting in mosques. They are exchanging in a social network, and they are recognizing themselves. And the third. Yes, they probably need, if they want to keep their position elected, they need the Muslim vote, absolutely. But they have to do a choice. If they have Muslim vote, they will have to pay for that. It's not free. So they will have to do arrangement for the Muslim population. Otherwise, they will lose the next elections.
Can I ask
So
you
it's a choice.
some questions from the people on the chat? First, somebody asks, any thoughts about Mamdani?
Mamdani from New York.
So
That's a success story for them.
Mamdani could be a part of LFI in an American way. But this is the same Islamo-leftism ideology. The possibility to have agreement with the left in order to get power and then do what they want to do. I suppose, of course, they have linked with LGBTQE, and so because this is just a way of gathering the different minorities to take the power, and then we will see what he will do. But for me, he's a brotherist. He's not a Muslim brother, but he's a brotherist.
So you think that this is going to make them get more involved with the left and maybe compete in elections and things like that?
He used the left to get power. But now we will see what he does, what he will give to the left. But one of the first step is going to a mosque where he said that I'm a Muslim and I'm amongst you. And so, the signal is clear.
Ce qui est peut-être important aussi de rajouter, c'est que c'est là où on voit une double vision, c'est que les Occidentaux se posent la question s'il est frère musulman, s'il est affilié aux frères musulmans, mais pour les musulmans, c'est une ville qui est tombée aux mains de l'islam de la Oumma. C'est ça comme ça qu'on le voit. Donc après Londres, Bruxelles, Paris, New York, et c'est pour eux, c'est quelque chose de très important, c'est la Oumma. On ne regarde pas si c'est un frère ou pas, ce qu'on voit, c'est la vision pour l'objectif califal.
So what she's saying is that for the Muslims, it doesn't really matter if he's a Muslim brother, he's Muslim, and as far as they're concerned, the fact that he was elected mayor of New York is a victory for the Ummah, the same way that you had a Muslim mayor of London and also in Brussels. So it's just a victory, no matter if they're seen as Muslim, doesn't matter really if they're part of the Muslim Brotherhood or not.
You believe that we are going to have a mayor of Paris Muslim as well?
This It is possible.
Next question is, what are the relationships between them and the Iranian version of Israel?
Well, we know that Muslim Brotherhood influenced as much as Khomeini as the Muslim network, network. So, yeah, I mean, I would not bet on division between Sunni and Shia when it comes to Islamism in Western
Do
society.
they cooperate actually? Or do they just
Well, for example, in France, you don't have many Shia, so it's not really at stake. There's no need of cooperation because they are mostly Sunni. I don't know in the UK, but it seems to go well. They go well together. You know, when you have a common enemy, you don't have this division between Sunni and Shia. I'm talking about the Western societies.
We have a bunch of opinions. But,
May I ask you, the experiment of Hamas, for every objective follower of news, sees Hamas as a huge failure. How does this reverberate amongst the Muslim Brotherhood in Europe?
Why should we see it as a failure?
Look at Gaza, how it looks like.
They held out
It rallied the entire Muslim world. It's a big.
So how does it reverberate?
I'm not sure I understand.
Could you?
Sorry.
Comment on peut voir Hamas quand on regarde Gaza, voilà, se détruit. Pourquoi, comment on peut percevoir Hamas comme une grande victoire?
Who think that Hamas is a victory?
The supporters of
Propaganda victory, a tremendous propaganda.
Yeah, but that's
Non, j'ai dit, non, excusez-moi. J'ai dit, vu que ce qui s'est passé à Gaza est une destruction totale à cause de la politique du Hamas, quel est l'impact de ça sur le mouvement en France?
Yeah, for the
Hamas is a brotherhood movement.
Yes,
Hamas took over a piece of territory, established a state that is destroyed.
Yes, but for the Islamo-leftists, this is Israel vote.
Okay, but
it's destructive by Israel.
Destroy Israel and the Muslim Brotherhood will survive.
Hamas is just a victim for them.
Because they don't carry a military.
Yeah, but so they enjoy being a victim like the Palestinians.
Il faut leur lui dire qu'ils ne mènent pas à ce stade une guerre militaire, donc les destructions, ça sert la subversion.
Yeah, for them, it's Palestinians have been killed by Israel, genocide and so on, because they are Muslim. So it serves the agenda of the Islamophobia. So, you know, the humanity is against Muslims. So you have to identify as a Muslim to the Palestinians. And it's what will happen to you, like Europe did to the Jews, the humanity does to the Muslims.
There's a question here from
I understand that looking at the vision of the Muslim Brotherhood organization in Europe, far vision is Khalifatization of Europe. This is the end vision. Muslim Europe, with Sharia law.
Yeah.
Like
Sharia law doesn't mean that people will convert. It means only that European will be under Sharia law, even if you stay Jew or Christian, but you will be under Sharia law.
Under Sharia law, that means Muslims on top. Islam.
Yeah, of course.
Now, so they need to gain, for that, they need to gain political power.
Mm-hmm.
How they're organizing? Because you are talking about going embracing the left and going to the right, but do they have a plan on how to take over the legislative and the executive?
But they are already changing the law. They are changing the law when they want to allow the hijab, for example, in.
But they have not just only to, but they have to cancel laws of equality.
Yeah, but it's not ready yet. You know, they will take power, political party, but not now. because they are more efficient now.
So how do they plan to take power?
I think they have no particular
No plan.
plan for they are doing plan for 4 years. Their vision for 30 years. For example, Youssef El-Qaradawi gave his vision of the European or the Western societies in 1990s. He published something, what will happen in the next 30 years. And also you have at the level of Muslim European Council plan for the next 4 years. And they see how it advanced, but they don't have, to my knowledge, a plan for opening political parties for now, because it won't work for now. They are not enough powerful. But they use the party coucou.
Famous book that's called Ficula Kaliyat. Studies of
the minority.
This says that the way to do that, because we are a minority and we are not going to turn into a majority and we cannot take power through the ballots, the idea is to serve as an example. We'll make everybody understand how great it is to be Muslim, how true is the message that we are sending, and everybody will eventually become Muslim because they will see how great we are. And all these organizations that Florence described here, on the community level, they serve in order to set the example. We all see how great the Muslims are doing, and they're so moderate and so taking care of their society. And you really want to become one of the main problems is one of the main problems is that you don't have an alternative provided and presented by the non-Muslims. It's if you look at what do the Muslims provide to their society and what do the regular French provide for their society, they don't have all this system. So you said to yourself, well, the Muslims, they're really good.
It's not bad.
Let's listen to what they're saying. And in the high days of Daesh, many people went all the way straight to Daesh, not to Muslim Brotherhood. Went all the way to Daesh and volunteered to converted to Islam and went to fight for Daesh in Syria and in Iraq.
Can the Catholic Church be of any? Can it make a comeback?
There's two places where I never invited to present my work. There's few places, but it's left, you understand, and Catholic Church. They don't want to hear about that.
There's a question here from the chat that Adi sent to me. Have you investigated the significant branch of Islamic education implicated on the foundation of Sharia law from the Gulen Foundation and the Hizmet movement founded by Fethullah Gulen, a Turkish exile living in the US? This powerful group in his EU countries, Gulen directs branches in his form of Islamic education in many parts of the world, including in Central Asia and the US. His organization is connected to the Muslim Brotherhood, etc.
There's another question, just going to the opposite direction. To what extent are they connected with Erdogan? And
they are because the press and the mediatization is helped by Erdogan more than money, I suppose. But they are helping these Islamist NGOs to display their ideas all around the world through the OIC also. Organization of Islamic Cooperation, through the halal market. Turkey is well positioned in this market, but I haven't investigated Gulen, which is not very well represented in France.
The Gulenists are political rivals of Erdogan.
Yeah, but they can even if they might use the same means. It's just a matter of rivalry.
We see more and more Muslim citizens in France, raise against Muslim Brotherhood movement. Their voices are.
I would say the movement of ex-Muslims, which is now more visible, also because of the press. I mean, I think CNews, for example, gives a voice to the ex-Muslims.
Sam Harris. Sam Harris?
CNews.
Oh, CNews. Oh.
It's Lorraine, but Lorraine is Christian, so it's not so. Some Christians do really react.
No, but the CNews were very the one who really broadcast the problem of Israel during the since the 7th of October, while the public channels did not do anything. They name the hostage names every day on CNews, and they really did a lot. So I think it's
And it's the most watched TV channel in France today.
yes,
And he has also a very important radio, the same Bolloré as Europe One, and he has Journal de France, and all these media are catching more and more.
But Florence, at the end of your talk, do you or any of your associates have a program how to counterattack?
Yes, but I would not say that here.
Because she doesn't have a bodyguard here.
Are you optimistic? I mean, the last time France was invaded by this type of Islam was 5th to 8th century. And thank God for the Merovingian dynasty that saved Europe. But there's been a couple of years since then.
Yeah.
We have become sympathetic to Putin when you hear this.
5th to 8th.
I believe in education and in the debate and the possibility of just see what is happening to us. To be able to be here is a good sign for me. So yes, I'm optimistic.
I'm going down to more details because obviously we are one stage for theses before the crisis. And once the crisis comes, you see a widespread, and also the last elections, also the EU and elsewhere, did project a mass dissatisfaction with the way that the French elites are dealing with this Islamic danger.
Yeah. Yes.
But the French system itself does not accommodate this outcry. Where is that convergence and what can be done in that context? Are you optimistic?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I can't answer this question. I don't know. It really depends. And sometimes you can be surprised that suddenly the system reacts and things are better. I'm not able to answer your question.
I'm optimistic about you. In Israel, we have 20% Muslims, much less. So
For now.
we manage. So I hope you learn to manage as well.
You said for now.
Now it's growing. It's growing there.
Numbers are good.
Yes, the numbers are growing.
We are ready to help with the French population.
Maybe Putin will save Europe.
Returning to Jews.
He has his own Muslim problems.
Yeah.
Who is it? There's still a couple of the Zoom.
סוף תשמע, פוטין יצא
Wait, everybody, wait, we just have to depart from our audience on Zoom. So I would like to thank Dr. Bergeaud-Blackler and of course JSS, and maybe we'll ask the president to conclude for everybody.
Some people say that they're optimistic. I don't understand what they base the optimism upon. What we heard is a very grim picture of what's happening in France and
Europe,
and not only in France, but definitely in France, focusing on France. And we know that it's happening elsewhere. It's the force of sophisticated radical Islam is growing by the minute.
Yeah.
And we have to be worried about that because Hamas is part of that sophisticated radical Islam. So anybody who thinks that these people are moderate and pragmatic, as Florence said, they are pragmatic in a way, as long as pragmatism is necessary. But they are not moderate. Their vision of France and their vision of Europe was well described by Florence. And I think that we should worry, and the sooner we wake up and do something about it, I wouldn't rely on the fact that with communism it didn't work. Because Islam is something totally different than communism. Islam has a history of 1400 years. Communism was something blimp. That's what it was.
And it's socially rooted.
And it's socially rooted, and there are so many people that we're talking about billions of people that enjoy this faith. And I just saw the numbers about how many Muslims voted for Mamdani and for other Muslim candidates. CARE in the United States published these numbers. 98% of the Muslims voted for him. 33% of the Jews too, but this is some problem we have. No, 33% is not according to CARE. 98% is according to CARE, and I think this tells you that under the veneer of moderation and pragmatism lies something very dangerous for the Western society, the Western culture, and for Israel as Jews. We have to realize that this threat is really meaningful and significant, and we should hurry up and try to find out what to do about it.
First of all, finish the war as we should.
No, it's not about the war. The war played a role in.
They are fueling the war. They are fueling yours.
That's very important.
We all want to win the war, but this is not going to solve the problem. It's going to be important in sending a positive message, but it's not going to finish the problem. The problem is much deeper.